to me, Gilles de Ferran this year. Came awfully close, didn't he, a couple of weeks ago in Portland, and you know, he's always run well here. With Hall racing the last 2 years, 2 years ago he was extremely unfortunate not to come away with a victory. Actually tangled with Scott Pruitt, who'd been fast all weekend but had a problem earlier in that race, was actually running 2 laps down, and Gilles was not at all happy that Pruitt didn't make his job easy and get out of the way towards the end of that race, and de Ferran ended up crashing and lost the race. So that was a major disappointment for him. He came back, of course, last year. There was Mark Blundell looking to the inside of Arndt Meyer, who chops right across in front of him. Not made many friends over the last few races, Arndt Meyer, actually, I must say. But he's split up this pair again now. Mark Blundell had inched a little bit closer to Michael Andretti in their battle for 6th place, but now he's got to go and do that, all that work all over again. That's assuming he can get past Arndt Meyer. Yes, well, hopefully he should be able to put a move on him soon, but it all means time lost to Michael Andretti. He gets through safely this time. Meyer keeps out of the way, but he has definitely lost a bit of ground. Interesting to see that Blundell now seems to be running okay and running pretty much on the pace. Last lap was a little slower when they got up into back markers, but those early laps he really wasn't on the pace at all. Looked as though he had some sort of problem, but then the car now seems to have settled down to a pace. Very strange. Yeah, very strange. You know, in some earlier races this season, his teammate Mauricio Gugelmin was having some problems with the boost levels early in the race. The boost was fluctuating, really wasn't coming up to maximum boost. 40 inches of boost there. That's unbelievable. Poor old Brian Herter got charlied again coming out of that last turn. And again, he has to fend off Michael Andretti. Michael Andretti, nice move there. Laid back on the outside, Herter defending his position on the inside. There's a classic manoeuvre by Michael Andretti. Lies wide, gets a good run off the corner, but now Herter has a look back again into turn 3. Can't pull it off. So Michael Andretti moves up into 5th position now. Paul Tracy's in 4th place, as you can see from the charts, but now it's changed because Herter's no longer ahead of Andretti. Michael's taken the place, and Brian Herter is not going to have very good things to say about Charlie Neerberg at the end of this race, judging by the way he's been treated by the back marker so far. He is not going to be very happy at all, but the net result is Michael Andretti has gained a place, and we've now got 2 of the Swift chassis running in the top 5, so it's a good effort from the team. The Newman-Haas team, of course, the team that ran Nigel Mansell towards his championship winning campaign here in 1993, and he was teamed up with Michael Andretti. And just looking at the speed trap figures around the circuit at the moment, you can see down here 171 miles an hour before getting on the brakes into the hairpin right, and then coming up to the point where it says 111, that's as they're accelerating up through the gears and running alongside the shore of the lake, then up towards the right and left. And that's an average, that's just about 94 miles an hour. That's a minimum speed through there, so that's a pretty impressive speed. They're still nearly 100 miles an hour through the bend itself, building up to more than that, about 150 again, then up through. Oh, we've got somebody off into the tyres. Now then, try and spot that one. Spot that one, Jeremy. No, it's poor old Richie Hearn. He's had a horrible time with that Lola this weekend, and he's been very, very dispirited with the performance on that car. It'll almost certainly bring out the full course yellow the first of the afternoon on lap 22. It's going to be interesting to see whether anybody comes into the pits here. It's tough to make it on 2 stops on this racetrack, and lap 22 is a little bit early for the window, let's say, in order to be able to make it on 2 stops. I think we talked a little bit earlier, there don't tend to be too many full course cautions on this racetrack, and apparently we have a replay coming up here of the incident as the cars now are working their way through under full course caution through the scene of the accident. Let's take a look then. Richie Hearn was coming down the straight towards the right-left before the pits, just lost it under braking basically, and around she went and hit both sides, hit the concrete wall on the inside and then the tyres on the outside. But that was really under braking. It was really before he started to turn into the corner that he lost control of the car. And well, the end of, as you said, Jeremy, a very frustrating weekend for the youngster, who really, I think, is proving himself. Although he's having a tough season in a tough car, he really is a talent to watch for the future if he gets the chance. Of course, a season like this means it's always hard to raise the sponsorship and pick it all up again for the following year. And well, there you can see, just marking the tyre there already, maybe he'd actually picked up some sort of puncture there as he lost it on the brakes, so maybe it was actually a tyre problem that created it all in the first place. It might well have been. Richie Hearn doesn't normally make mistakes, and he's a very, as you say, a very, very talented young driver. Extremely frustrated over the last few weeks, as is the team owner, John Della Penna. And it was good to see at least Richie is okay. There is debris as a result of that accident across the pit entry road. The pit entry is actually closed at the moment in any case, under caution. But good to see Richie out of the car. He's just he's really been disappointed with the performance of that car pretty much all season, and the Lola engineers, they worked extremely hard. They thought they had a fix for that car. There comes a couple of people in the pits, not all the field by any means, and there's some jockeying for position. There's them diving in at the last moment. I'd say 60-40% at least of the people are staying out on the racetrack and not coming into the pits. But one of the people in the pit lane is the race leader, Alex Zanardi.
That's a bit of a surprise to see Zanardi coming in at this point in the race. And that's interesting. There's some consternation down in the pits because some of the teams are saying that the pits are closed. They're not open, that these guys should not be into the pits yet. And yet these guys have obviously decided the pits are open. Now this is down to the kart officials to decide whether the pits are open or not. And that sign would mean that the pits are closed, because we need to see a plus sign to indicate that the pits are open. So this is very strange indeed. This could be a complete disaster. There's Max Papis running down the road, so I don't know what's happened to him. But that is very interesting as the leaders come into the pits, but the pits are supposedly closed. This is going to cause all sorts of controversy about whether these guys should have come in or not. Now then, here's a replay. Can you see the sign over to the left-hand side? We can't really see it from this shot. We couldn't see whether the P was there or whether they got the plus sign. No, the P was there. Look, the P was there. Zanardi should not have come in. Now maybe the team was calling him in, but he should have seen that the P was still there, and that means the pits are still closed. They have to do another lap before being allowed into the pit lane, and that could be a disaster for the Italian. The pits are now open officially, but that's a little bit late for Zanardi. Now, of course, by coming in, he sort of set the pace. Everyone else followed him coming in, but it was Zanardi who decided, first of all, to come in, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's that's going to cause quite a lot of queues. There is Chip Ganassi on the in the target pit, and I think what will happen is that the people that did make a pit stop will be told to go back to the end of the line, which of course they will be in any case after making their pit stops. But the crucial thing is now, yes, okay, after these people make their pit stops, then the people who had made their stops under the closed pit, there's the green, you can see the green P there on the left-hand side of the screen. That means the pits are now open. The red or pink or whatever it was sign it was at before, it signifies the pits are closed. So yeah, all sorts of funky stuff going on, isn't there?
Now, an interesting point for Michael Andretti. He apparently came into the pits, but he didn't get service. He didn't stop for fuel and tyres. Will he be penalised? So there's a question for the race organisers to try and sort out. Of course, all this means good news for Gilles de Ferran, who's left it until it's been allowable to come in. Christian Fittipaldi behind him, so that will move him up into second position. And what a confused situation this means. But basically, it's a genuine mistake from Alex Zanardi. Down to him. The sign was there. It showed that the pit lane was closed. It's down to Zanardi, and it's down to the other drivers who followed his lead. It was up to them to decide whether to come in or not, and a lot of drivers made the same mistake. Chip Ganassi there in the pit lane is absolutely furious, but what can he do? The mistake has already been made. And where Alex Zanardi is third in the queue at the moment, behind Mark Blundell and Gualter Sales, who have not come into the pits to make their pit stop. So Blundell is the genuine leader of this race now. The tyre wall still being rebuilt where Richie Hearn went off, and there is the blue and red car of Mark Blundell, the winner of Portland, now leading this group around. But we've got controversy because Alex Zanardi and a bunch of other cars came into the pits. They thought the pit lane was open. Let's hear from the pit lane, Richie Hearn.
Pretty much blew the right rear tire as I was coming down the straight there, and it just that was it.
We talked about the Lola. He had all kinds of new parts on the car, but didn't make it go any faster. I mean, what's next?
Well, we had a lot of expectations for this weekend, and we had a lot of new front wing, new gearbox, and I think the fact that the track is so bumpy really kind of nulled those changes out. Our car's been not very good on bumpy tracks, and I still think the changes were good, and I look forward to maybe some better changes for the smoother tracks coming up.
Okay, well, unfortunately, the next race at Toronto is bumpy too.
Yeah.
Let's go to Gary Gerald. Yeah, here's.
Go down and talk to Dan
So
about a possible
problems down there for Richie Hearn. That was a great shame to see him out of the race, but the main thing is it's caused all these other problems with whether the cars should be into the pits. And interesting that Zanardi's just picked up another problem. He's got a blend line violation, which means when he came out of the pits he did something naughty as well.
Yeah, he obviously tried to pass a couple of cars who were already out on the racetrack. It's a bit nebulous down there at the end of pit lane. the pit exit road is parallel to the racetrack, about 50 yards to the left, going down towards the first turn. And in fact, the pit lane actually goes farther than the first turn. They have to come back again and rejoin the line. It's a little bit tricky down there, and obviously Zanardi has been accused of making up some positions between the blend line, which is at the end of the pit road, where the actual pits are, so to speak, and the re-entry of the racetrack. So I think another penalty there for poor Alex Zanardi. He's going to be hopping mad inside that car.
He's not having a very good afternoon, really, is he? There is Max Pappas' crew packing up. We did see him down at the end of the pit lane walking away. I was right. His car is off at the side of the track. We haven't actually seen quite why. There now are all the people who've got to go through to the back of the pack. Now, they were the guys who stopped, including Dario Franchitti, unfortunately. He was one of those guys to come in. But watch also Paul Tracy, championship leader. He's going to have to be down to the back of the queue, along with Maurizio Gugelmin, Michel Jourdain and Juan Fangio. And apparently they've decided for Michael Andretti, although he didn't stop and put any fuel on board or change tyres, that he's going to have to go down to the back as well. Yeah, so the rule is being adhered to, and Michael Andretti is also a major loser in this situation. Now, the cars have completed 27 laps at the moment. Here's Michael's stop. He came in. They went to put fuel on and tyres, so they did actually change. We thought that they hadn't. This is interesting. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Tried to get away without releasing the fuel hose. And that was the problem there, obviously, that when he came into the pits, so a bit of confusion.
Yeah, I think that was actually when he came back in the following lap, actually.
Right.
There's a whole load of cars around him there, and not very many people came in first time around, so that's awfully confusing and a great shame. And you know, particularly bad news, of course, for Michael Andretti, because he did what he thought was the right thing by not taking on service and going on around a racetrack, but now he's penalised himself again, because he had made an extra stop, he's farther back in any case, so double whammy there for poor Michael Andretti. Not his day, is it?
It's not his day either, so I wonder whose day it's going to be. There's quite a few guys up there, but Mark Blundell leading, but the problem for him is that really he should be pretty much into the pit stop window here. I would think he's going to have to make a stop fairly soon. This yellow perhaps lasting longer than they thought, and PacWest perhaps gambling a little bit on it with being a fairly short yellow flag, but it's taking a while, and that means that he's probably going to have to stop fairly soon. If he's going to take advantage of this yellow and not stop under green flag racing conditions and really lose a big chunk of time, then he's going to have to stop fairly soon in the next couple of laps. We'll have to wait and see. Perhaps both he and Guelta Sullers will decide to stay out there for a little bit longer. With all these changes that are going to have to be made, the guilty cars who came into the pits when the pit lane wasn't officially open, having to be moved to the back of the grid, it's going to take perhaps a couple of laps to sort that out. Meanwhile, few people are finding other ways of enjoying themselves here on this bright and sunny afternoon in Cleveland. Some pictures from the lake itself, Lake Erie out there, and absolutely wonderful setting, a great way to watch the race. And if the race isn't much happening, well, you could just take a dive off the boat instead. Splendid for them, cooling down nicely out there. Unlike most of the spectators here who are boiling sitting in their grandstand seats, there is Mark Blundell